Nigeria's electoral body, INEC, says it has delisted 1.1 million people out of the 2.5 million fresh registrants that registered between June 28, 2021 and January 14, 2022. The commission says it took the decision because their records were found to be invalid. INEC also says it has discovered several double, multiple and ineligible registrants while cleaning up voter register using the automated biometric identification system ahead of the 2023 general elections. Now, the electoral body is assuring the public that only valid registrants will be added to the existing national register and will be published nationwide for scrutiny.
All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Festus Okoye, Chairman, Information and Voter Education. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight. Well, it does seem that in spite of the fact that you have a voter education desk, hundreds of thousands of Nigerians still get their registration wrong. Is it an indictment on INEC's inability to ensure that people do know what to do so that they don't flout INEC rules? And will this not disenfranchise voters? 1 million out of 2.5 million?
No, right from beginning, right from day one, we made it very, very clear that the continuous voters registration exercise that the Commission was embarking upon was for new registrants. In other words, it was for people who have never registered before and people who turned 18 from the last registration exercise. But as we move towards the registration period, there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation. Some people claim that the permanent voters cards issued before 2011 had expired and that all the holders of the PVC need to register afresh. And people surged to go and register. Then there were also people who lost their PVCs or people whose PVCs were damaged. We asked them to only report their lost and damaged PVCs so that we can issue new ones. But some of them went and registered afresh. And then there were also those who wanted to do transfer. Rather than do transfer, they sought to register afresh. And then there were people who thought that we didn't have the mechanism and the power and the resources and the technology to discover multiple and double registration. So we carried out robust civic and voter education to get our people to do the right thing. But there were some people who chose to do the wrong thing. And there were also some people who acted out of ignorance and misinformation and disinformation.
And I mean, this has become a ritual. In 2019, over 300,000 people were removed from the register. Now we are seeing over 1 million people. With the technology you have that is detecting these double, multiple, ineligible voters, how come we're unable to detect at the point of registration? A lot of people are asking that question. Why is it difficult to detect at the point of registration? Also, we do know that Section 114 B of the Electoral Act 2022, I hope I'm correct, does say that this is an offense with a maximum fine of about 1 million naira or imprisonment of 12 months. So is INEC going to be pursuing this?
Well, in relation to your first question, the Commission uses what we call the ABIS. That is the Automated Biometric Identification System, which identifies fingerprints and also identifies facials. This is what we use in removing multiple and double registrants. And then for other pernicious registrations, we do what we call manual adjudication to remove people who are visibly underage and also people who got into the register through other dubious means. Now, we have the technology and we have the capacity to detect multiple and double registrants at the point of registration using our INEC voter enrollment device. But we made a determination not to enable the device because it will take some time searching through the database of 84 million registered voters, and that will keep so many people on the queue for too long. So we decided not to enable it at the point of registration in order to speed up the registration. So we enabled it at the point after registration, at the point of cleaning up the voters register. And that's exactly what we are doing at the moment.
All right. I mean, you had 84 million previous voters or registrants, if you like. How many out of those, I mean, one would expect that some would have been deceased and what have you. What can you tell us in terms of the figures, the correct figures that have come from that and the new registrants? And then, of course, you can give us the total. And a segment of CSOs saying that INEC is reluctant to publish names. You know, they're accusing INEC of not being transparent and all of that when it comes to, you know, the display of register as provided by Section 19 of the Electoral Act 2022. I wonder how you respond to that.
Well, in terms of the registration, we went into the 2019 election with a total registered voter population of over 84 million. Now, when we stopped the CVR on the 31st day of July 2022, 12,298,944 have completed their registrations. But these registrations are going through the cleanup process using the ABIS. Now, Section 19, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 obligates the Commission to publish the voters register for claims and objections. And the moment we complete the cleanup exercise, which we are almost done with, we will display the register of voters in the 774 local government areas of Nigeria and in the 8,809 registration areas in the country for claims and objections. So that is what the law obligates us to do, and we are definitely going to do that. And then thereafter, we will print the permanent voters cards of those who are validly registered and then get them to come and collect these PVCs. So we are on course in relation to what we are doing, and we are within the confines and ambit of the law.
Is that likely to be, this publishing of voters registration?
Excuse me?
Exactly when do you figure out you will publish the names of registrants?
We are on course. We are almost done with the cleanup exercise. And the moment we are done with the cleanup exercise, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will release the a number of valid registrants arising from the CVR, and also we release the number of invalid registrants arising from the voters registration exercise, and then we will go ahead and do the display for claims and objections. And it is at that moment that those whose wards are diseased can come forward and point out that their wards are diseased with concrete evidence, and then we will remove those people from the voters register. And then those whose names were not properly spelled will also do the same thing. So it will afford the registrants an opportunity to look at the register and then make their claims and also make their objections, and then we will clean up everything, and then we now integrate the supplementary register with the existing voters register and publish and make it available to the registered political parties and also make it available to Nigerians.
Mr. Okoye, I'm not sure you touched on my second part of my question about the offense that is liable to conviction to a maximum fine of 1 million naira or for a term of 12 months. That's Section 114B of the Electoral Act 2022. Will the Commission be pursuing this? And I asked that question again because I said it's recurring. We see these numbers of people, and you have alluded to the fact that it's not, there are those who you suspect think that you do not have the capacity to detect the mischief. So I wanted to speak to that. And I also want to ask you, because I know Nigeria does have this registration physically and online. Which of the platforms have you been able to detect you are having more of this invalid registration? Are you able to tell, is it the physical registration or is it the online registration you're seeing more of this invalid registration?
Well, in relation to your first question, if you look at Section 16, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 2022, it makes it clear that no voter shall hold more than one valid voter's card, and that the penalty for holding more than one valid voter's card is 500,000 naira or imprisonment for a period of not more than 1 year. Secondly, what we did with the online pre-registration is pre-registration because Section 10, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act makes it very clear that even if you do pre-registration, you must still appear in person before a registration officer to complete your biometrics. So what we did was hybrid. As at now, I'm not in a position to give you the accurate figure of the multiple and double registrants in terms of the online and the physical. When we finish cleaning up the voters register for those who did the CVR, we'll be in a position to segregate those figures and then make it available to the Nigerian people. Yes, we have so many multiple and double registrants. The challenge is that there are some of them that acted based on the, misinformation and also disinformation. There are also some of them that acted on the basis of ignorance. Yes, ignorance is not a basis for breaking the law. So at the appropriate time, the commission will take a position on whether to prosecute those who engage in multiple and double registrants, or whether to take a different course of action and take a different pathway. It's left for the commission to take that decision, but the commission has not taken that decision yet.
Well, that's quite interesting to note, but because in June of this year, you actually threatened that, those who, register in multiple means, that you will actually prosecute them. What you're saying is that no multiple registrant has actually been prosecuted. But let's even talk about the 7 million Nigerians that we hear from INEC have not been able to complete registration for PVCs. What more can you tell us about that? To those 7 million people?
No. We don't have 7 million people who have not completed their registration. The challenge here is that we started this pre-registration through our online portal. There were some Nigerians who are in diaspora who also started the online pre-registration, thinking and hoping that at a point in time they will come back to Nigeria and do the physical biometrics. Some of them could not do that, and their registration lapsed. There were also some Nigerians who also started online, abandoned the online, and then went and did physical registration. So we don't have 7 million Nigerians who are waiting there and who were not registered and who were disenfranchised. No, we don't have that figure.
Invalidate, when you say double...
Can I complete this
point? Go ahead.
On the issue of prosecution, as Adesua raised earlier, what you're saying is nobody has been prosecuted yet. And if you're not prosecuting, what are the other options?
I made it very clear that the question on whether to prosecute them or not to prosecute them is a decision that the commission has to take. Now, if you look at the figure, a total of 1,126,359 did either multiple or double registration. Now, when we compute the figure arising from 15th day of January 2022 and 31st day of July 2022, the figure, the number will definitely increase. So it's a decision that the commission has to take carefully, bearing in mind and also taking into consideration the fact that these people are scattered in different parts of Nigeria, in different electoral wards, in different local governments, and also in different states. So we have to look at our capacity to prosecute. But at the appropriate time, I'm sure that the commission will take a decision on what to do.
All right, Mr. Festus Okoye, stay with us. We'll go on a quick break, but when we return, we have this conversation some more. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us INEC Commissioner and Chairman for Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye. Thank you so much for staying with us, Mr. Okoye. I just want to ask you for clarification. So in the case of double or multiple registration, does that invalidate the registration of an individual completely? And I also want you to talk to us how we can end this, because it's whopping 1.1 million people.
Well, what we determined, and the determination we have made, is that the moment we detect a multiple or double registration, we invalidate the current registration and leave the previous registration valid. Because the person's name is already on our database. So we leave the previous registration and then invalidate the current registration. That is exactly what we have done. It will be better if people at the point of registration, when we ask them whether they have registered before, if they can just tell the simple truth that they have registered before, that will have solved the problem, and then we can direct them on the best course to take. But some people, when you ask them whether they have registered before, they say completely no, that they have never registered before. But when we run our ABIs, we find out that somebody who registered previously in Lagos has gone to go and to Kaduna State to go and register again, and we have no choice than to invalidate the second registration.
Mr. Okoye, are there other means that INEC can actually put in place creatively to prevent these huge numbers from being delisted? And the other question as to capacity of INEC to prosecute, does INEC have the capacity to prosecute?
Well, if you recall, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission appeared before the House Committee on Electoral Matters and canvassed that the time has come for the setting up of an Electoral Offences Commission and Tribunal to deal with the issue of arrest, the issue of investigation, and the issue of prosecution of electoral offenders. And we believe that the time to set up such a commission and tribunal is now. Given the given the multiple nature of electoral offenses that are being committed almost very frequently. So if we have such a commission, it will deal with this issue of multiple and double registration. It will deal with the issue of the commission of electoral offenses on election day, and also even with the commission of post-electoral offenses. But as of today, the commission does not have the number of lawyers required to prosecute this number of multiple and double registrants. No, we don't have that capacity, and the chairman has made it very clear that we don't have such number, and that and we don't have the power to arrest, we don't have the power to investigate. We can only prosecute after a different agency has made arrest and has investigated and then submitted the report to us before we can prosecute. And that's just the truth of the matter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Okoye, INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education. We do appreciate your time on the news tonight.